Good morning, viewers. A warm welcome. Sage here. You're watching 𝐊𝐶𝐞 TV live from Sydney. This is the Global Markets Roundup show, and today's show we'll explore the latest updates from the equity, currency and commodity markets from across the globe. And let us take the look at the US markets performance to begin with. The US stocks and oil prices rebounded on Thursday as unemployment claims declined and the trade deficit widened, and the positive economic data in the face of rising COVID-19 cases and signals of declining Federal Reserve stimulus. The number of Americans filing new COVID claims for unemployment benefits declined further last week, while layoffs dropped in July to their lowest level in just more than 21 years. The S&P 500 was up 0.60%, the Dow Jones rose 0.78%, the Nasdaq Composite gained 0.78%, and the small cap Russell 2000 was up 1.81%. The Labor Department said on Thursday that jobless benefits claims dropped by 14,000 down to 385,000 in the week ended July 31st. The layoffs declined to their lowest levels in the last 21 years as companies held on to their employees as the labour shortage exacerbated. However, the jobless figure remains nearly twice the number from the pre-pandemic levels, which has been a major cause of worry for the economy. Energy and consumer discretionary stocks were among the top gainers, and the technology segment provided the most significant boost to the S&P 500 in Thursday's session. 9 of the 11 segments of the index remained in the green. Basic materials and healthcare stocks trailed. And next we'll look at the bond markets. The 30-year Treasury bond yields were up 1.20%, while the 10-year bond yields rose 3.48%. US dollar futures index increased by 0.01%. And moving on now to the markets in Europe. European stocks ended at record highs on Thursday as strong results from Novo Nordisk and Siemens helped outweigh the weak mining stocks and losses in the major German retailers whose earnings were hurt by COVID-related disruptions. The Pan-European Stoxx 600 ended 0.4% higher, its fourth consecutive peak this week. The London markets traded on a mixed note after the Bank of England decided to keep interest rates unchanged at 0.10%, and moreover the UK construction sector growth fell short of expectations during July 2021 as the adjusted IHS Markit CIPS UK Construction Purchasing Managers Index came out to be 58.7 for July 2021. The FTSE 100 listed preeminent engineering company. Rolls-Royce shares surged by about 5.87%. The company had swung into interim profits boosted by efficient cost management. Furthermore, the company had expected to deliver positive cash flow during the second half of the year. And the financial institution Lloyds Banking Group shares went down by around 1.48% after Goldman Sachs had downgraded the company to sell. And Eurozone bond yields fell in quiet trading on Thursday ahead of a key US jobs data reading due out on Friday. The government bond yields on both sides of the Atlantic have continued falling in the first week of the month after a plunge in July that gave bond prices their best performances since before the start of the pandemic. And bond yields move inversely with prices. So this is how the US and the European market performed. It is time for a short break, but after the break, we'll take a look at the Asian and Australian stock markets. So stay tuned with 𝐊𝐶𝐞 TV. Hi, I'm Sage, and get ready to take the crypto ride with me on 𝐊𝐶𝐞 TV. Watch the Crypto Buzz every Tuesday and join the excitement at 𝐊𝐶𝐞 TV. From Bitcoins to NFTs to Dogecoin and DeFi, we have updates about everything around these digital currencies. Understand the investing rationale and the risks involved in the space with me, Sage, on Crypto Buzz. Keep watching 𝐊𝐶𝐞 TV. Welcome back, viewers. Thanks for joining us. Sage here. You're watching 𝐊𝐶𝐞 TV live from Sydney. This is the Global Markets Roundup show. Let's now look at the Asian and Australian share markets performance, starting with the Japanese market in Asia. Japan's Nikkei index ended higher on Thursday, underpinned by upbeat earnings from the Nippon Yusen Kikkoman Corp and Hitachi Zosan, although gains were capped by concerns about the surge in cases of COVID-19. The tech-heavy Nikkei share average ended the day 0.52% higher, outpacing a 0.39% advance in the broader topics as technology shares tracked a firm finish on Wall Street. Let's now take a look at China's market. China's shares fell on Thursday as investors took cues from the state media reports to dump online gaming companies, fertiliser producers and spirit makers, worried these sectors could be the next target of a government crackdown. And the blue chip CSI 300 index fell 0.6%, while the Shanghai Composite Index lost as well 0.3%. Moving on now to South Korea. And the South Korean shares closed lower on Thursday, pressured by worries over the spread of the Delta coronavirus variant and hawkish remarks from a senior US Federal Reserve official. The won ended flat while the benchmark bond yield rose and the Kospi closed down 0.13%, snapping a three-day winning streak. And finally, let us glance now at the markets a little closer to home. The Australian share market seems under pressure on the end of the week. The last day of trading pulled down by miners due to falling iron ore prices despite strong closing by the US peers overnight. The benchmark index ASX 200 closed at a record high in the previous session, and the US trade deficit widened to record high levels in June, buoyed by the transition in spending from goods to services. A measure of US services industry activity climbed to an all-time high last month. The market would also await a key indicator scheduled to be released on Friday with US non-farm payrolls report. And the major energy stocks, including Woodside Petroleum and Santos, could trade higher on Friday. The prices of gold inched higher due to weaknesses in the US dollar. However, the gains remained in check ahead of the US employment data scheduled to be released later. The US gold futures were up 0.2%, and the gold miners, including Newcrest Mining and Northern Star Resources, could trade higher on Friday. And the most active iron ore futures on the Dalian Commodity Exchange for September delivery ended down 4.8%. The benchmark copper traded up, however, 0.3%. Thanks for joining us, viewers. That's all for now. Stay tuned with 𝐿𝐴N TV for more live market updates. We'll be back with more in the news and the markets, economies and diverse themes and sectors. Sage signing off.